Apologize to your sister, Claire. Or hand over your office keys. That's how my father greeted me on a Tuesday morning, not as his daughter, but as a liability. His voice was cold, his expression measured, and my sister stood behind him with that practiced look of fragile innocence she'd perfected over the years. Hi everyone, my name is Claire Hastings, I'm 28 years old, and I learned too late that in my family, love came with contracts and signatures. My sister, Lena, was the company's marketing head, charming, photogenic, and catastrophically careless. Last week, she'd lost a key client after posting confidential pricing data in a public campaign. I'd covered for her in the report, but when our CFO asked questions, she panicked and blamed me. Father didn't even look at the data trail before calling me in. You embarrassed this family's reputation, Claire. Fix it. Apologize to your sister and make this right. Make what right? I asked. The truth.
His jaw tightened.
You forget who built this company. Who pays your bills? The silence in the boardroom was suffocating. My resignation had been sitting in my drawer for weeks, and signed, unposted, waiting. I smiled faintly. All right. Lena's smirk returned, triumphant. Father looked satisfied. Neither of them noticed the small company envelope I slipped into my purse as I walked out. That night, I sat in my apartment surrounded by the quiet hum of everything I'd built. Stacks of project binders, design mock-ups, client reports. All of it, my work. All of it, there's now. Lena's text came around midnight. Dad says you'll come around by morning. Don't make this harder than it needs to be. I stared at the message for a long time before replying. You're right. I won't. Then I opened my laptop and began to write. Not a message, not an apology, but a resignation letter that detailed every project I'd handled, every account under my name, every pending task that only I knew how to complete. By the time the sun rose, my desk at Hastings & Company was spotless. Laptop wiped. Access cards on the table. Resignation printed, signed, dated, and scheduled for automatic email delivery to the board at exactly 9 a.m. When I arrived at the office, Lena was waiting with coffee in hand, and that same insufferable smirk. Changed your mind already? She teased. Something like that, I said, placing my ID card on the desk. At 9:02, the company lawyer burst through the door, pale and breathless. Claire, tell me you didn't post it. Lena's laughter died mid-breath. My father froze in the hallway. I simply smiled. You told me to make things right. The news spread faster than I expected. Within minutes, my resignation letter, along with the attached document listing every project I handled, hit every executive's inbox. I hadn't written it in anger. I'd written it with precision. Each paragraph outlined my responsibilities, the accounts registered solely under my authorization, and a quiet note reminding them that all client NDAs were signed under my name, not the company's. When I walked past the glass conference room, I saw chaos unfold through the frosted panels, the lawyer whispering furiously to my father, board members dialing phones, my sister pale for the first time in years. Claire. My father's voice thundered across the hall. What the hell have you done? Exactly what you asked, I said calmly. I made things right. You're blackmailing us?
No.
I'm informing you. Without proper transfer, those contracts are legally frozen until I reassign them. Lena stood behind him, trembling. You wouldn't ruin your own family. I met her eyes. Family implies loyalty, doesn't it? The silence that followed wasn't just heavy, it was terrified. The empire they'd built on my work was suddenly fragile. My father's expression cracked, a mix of fury and realization. Claire, come to my office.
Now.
I shook my head.
No, Dad.
For once, you'll come to mine. And I walked away, past the boardroom, past the whispers, straight to the future I was finally taking back. By noon, Hastings & Company was in quiet panic. My phone buzzed endlessly, missed calls, desperate texts from department heads who'd suddenly realized how many key operations ran through me. When I joined the company 5 years ago, I'd rebuilt their operations system from the ground up. My father never noticed the legal nuance I'd added, the independent consultancy clause. It gave me ownership over all digital frameworks I created, the backbone of their contracts, billing, and analytics. In simpler terms, the company didn't own its system. I did. The lawyer finally caught up with me outside the elevator. Claire, we can fix this. Retract the resignation. We'll draft a compensation package, make it right. Make me right, or make him comfortable? I asked. He faltered. Your father's under a lot of pressure.
So am I.
But unlike him, I earned mine. From across the lobby, Lena watched, mascara running, her confidence unraveling. You're destroying everything, Claire. I turned to her, my voice calm but sharp. No, I'm just taking back the part one built. That evening, I received an official message from the board, a request for an urgent negotiation. I closed my laptop, leaned back, and whispered to myself. Funny, all it took to finally be heard was silence. Tomorrow, they'd learn the cost of underestimating me. The next morning, I walked back into Hastings and Company, not as an employee but as an independent consultant with leverage. The receptionist's eyes widened. Miss Hastings, your father said. I'm here for the board, I said calmly, handing her the official request they'd emailed the night before. Inside the conference room, the energy was brittle. My father sat at the head of the table, jaw tight. Lena beside him looked hollow. Around them, the board members whispered like men standing in smoke. Claire, my father began, forcing composure. We're willing to negotiate. You'll return, we'll revise your role and… No, I interrupted softly. You'll license my systems from me at market value. Annual renewal, full autonomy. One of the directors blinked. That could cost millions. I met his eyes. Then it'll remind you what I'm worth. The lawyer tried to intervene. We could offer partial. Don't, I said, turning to him. You advised my father to treat me like property. You don't get to moderate now. My father's voice broke through, low and cold. You're doing this to humiliate us. I smiled faintly. No, Dad. I'm doing this so you finally respect me. Silence. Papers shuffled. Someone cleared their throat. Finally, one of the senior board members spoke. Approve the licensing. Effective immediately. My father stared at me. The daughter he'd ordered to apologize, and for the first time, he had nothing left to say. By Friday, the licensing contract was signed. Every clause exactly as I'd written it. Hastings and Company would now pay quarterly royalties to use the very system they once dismissed as my side project. When I left that boardroom, I didn't look back. But by Monday morning, the ripple had already begun. Clients noticed the sudden shift in leadership dynamics. Emails now carried my signature as the system's consultant of record. Vendors called me directly, bypassing company channels. Lena tried damage control, posting forced smiles on social media about family unity and teamwork. The comments told another story. Didn't your sister design all your software? Why is she listed as an external partner now? At home, my father must have been fuming. I imagined him pacing in his study, realizing that the daughter he'd treated like an accessory now controlled the foundation of his legacy. That evening, a black car pulled up outside my apartment. The family lawyer stepped out again, envelope in hand. Your father wants to buy the system outright. Name your price. I smiled. He can't afford it. Not with what's coming next. He frowned. What's coming? I turned back toward my window, overlooking the city. An audit. Independent, transparent, and overdue. He froze. Claire, what did you do? I looked over my shoulder, voice calm. I did what he should have done years ago. I told the truth. The audit wasn't revenge, it was exposure. I'd quietly copied years of company data before resigning. Not secrets, just facts. Unfiled compliance reports, shadow payments approved by my sister, and a trail of financial negligence that could no longer hide behind family names. When the auditors arrived, my father tried to dismiss them as a routine internal review. But they weren't from our department. They were from the state. The first day was chaos. The second was quiet. By the third, I received a call from the lawyer, his voice low and defeated. Claire, the investigators want to speak with you. I'm happy to cooperate, I said simply. It turned out Lena had approved campaign budgets under my login months ago, digital forgery that traced straight back to her. My father had authorized them blindly, signing without reading, too busy protecting the image of his golden child to notice the cracks forming under her. When confronted, Lena broke down. You always wanted to destroy us, she screamed. No, I said. I wanted you to stop destroying me. Within days, the company was forced to restructure. The board suspended my father temporarily, pending investigation. My sister was removed from her position entirely. For the first time, the empire that once silenced me had my name written across every page, not as an heir, but as the whistleblower who'd saved it. And, ironically, that's when they finally started calling me family again. 3 months later, Hastings and Company held a private meeting to finalize the company's restructuring. I was invited, not as a daughter, not as an employee, but as an external consultant and stakeholder. When I entered the room, everyone stood. Even my father. His once commanding voice sounded smaller now, humbled by months of legal bruises and headlines. Claire, he began, we owe you more than an apology. Lena sat beside him, silent, eyes red. The smirk that used to haunt me was gone, replaced by quiet regret. I nodded, but said nothing. The new CEO, a board member I respected, handed me a folder. We'd like you to retain permanent rights to your system and oversee its upgrades independently. Your integrity kept this company from collapsing. I signed it without emotion. Justice doesn't need celebration, just closure. After the meeting, my father followed me to the parking lot. Claire, he said softly, I thought I was teaching you loyalty. Turns out, you were teaching me integrity. I looked at him, calm and steady. You taught me something too, never to confuse silence with respect. He swallowed hard. Do you hate me? I smiled faintly.
No, Dad.
I just finally understand you. As I drove away, the office tower faded in the rearview mirror. For the first time, it didn't feel like escape. It felt like peace. Because this time, I wasn't running for my family. They were left chasing my respect.